Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I am Abigail, and today I am drawing a character based off of a robin. So here you can see my sketches I was doing before. I did a quick sketch and blew it up on my iPad and printed it out, so I'm doing another sketch layer. I just really wanted to refine the details, so anyway, so the background to this the background to this character is I have started a 100-day project. I don't know if you know what that is, but it means I am doing something every single day for 100 days. And I have chosen to draw a character based off of something, an object, a color, a animal, whatever, for 100 days. So this, I recorded me drawing a girl as based off of a robin. Now I got this idea because we have tons of birds in our yard and they're always landing on the fence right outside the window, and I thought they just looked so cute, so here it is. So that was me separating the back piece. That was a quick sketch on my iPad quick. And here I am going in and kind of flushing out the details. I put, my little reference sketch over there so I could see what her outfit was. And I put little boots. I am a sucker for knee-high boots. I don't know if anybody else is, but I just love it. So, I hope you enjoy me sketching out her outfit quick. So there on the left hand side you can also see another 100-day project idea, whatever. It was pink, and so I drew a princess because I was like, you know what, when I think of pink I think of princess, and I kind of treated it like a one marker challenge. Now I do something different for every day. Some days it's just a pencil sketch. Other days I add a little bit of color, kind of like that princess day. I only use like one marker, and some days I do a full-blown piece, such as what I'm working on in this video. So here I'm drawing her sleeves. I wanted both the character to resemble kind of bird-like as well as the outfit. So she is very thin and, kind of delicate looking. I don't have somebody next to her to show that she's short, but like I imagined her pretty short. And I wanted her to have short hair because, birds don't really have hair, but I thought it needed something kind of fun-loving and maybe a tad little crazy. And her skirt is kind of the high-low to resemble like a tail poking like out the back, because robins have those little tail feathers. It's so cute. And her sleeves are kind of like really tiny wings. I gave her wings as well, so I wanted to do something that had feathers incorporated into the outfit, so her dress sleeves have feathers on them. Yeah. And here I was thinking about colors. I wanted there to be something different about, because really the only colors I'd be using were like grays and browns and a little bit of the red orange of a robin's belly. So I put ribbons on her boots because I thought it was cute. So here I'm doing the feathers. Now I did not look at a reference for drawing the feathers, and for not looking at a reference, they turned out really good. But I think in the future, when I draw wings, I'm going to look directly at a reference so I can kind of get the shapes of wings and of the feathers and the wings down. So I have drawn wings in the past without a reference as well, and these are they're so much better than that, but I can do better. In the past, when I have drawn wings, I keep them very, very smooth looking, not a lot sticking out. And I think, even though birds also keep their wings, they pull any feathers that are falling out and whatever, I felt like adding those little feathers sticking out at the top and adding, some bumps where feathers would be, overlapping one another really made the wings look better than wings I've drawn in the past. So So I decided with this video to do something a little different and include a few real-time clips of me doing stuff. So here is the finished sketch. Sorry about that. But here's the finished sketch, looking pretty decent. So for the lining for this, I decided I wanted something softer than like Copic multi-liner, so I decided to line it in pencil. So I'm sure I lightened up the sketch because normally if I was lining in pencil, I would get my light box out again and do it on a different sheet of paper, but I didn't think that far ahead. So here I am sketching or lining my sketch on this sheet of paper. But I decided to, back to my topic, I decided to include a few real-time clips because I like the difference it makes in the flow of the video. And it kind of, so you're not watching everything at light speed because this process actually takes a very long time. I did do some time skips because the lining process actually took me longer than anything else that I did in this video. So I was not about to film all of that. As it was, I had over an hour worth of video footage to go through, so. Oh, wow, sorry for the shaky camera. I've got it's one of those bendy arm things, phone holders. So every time I stop and start, it shakes like crazy and I can't get it to stop. But here I am I lined the wings and I lined them lighter. I didn't go as hard, but as everything else, wanted them to fade in the background. But I did use a Micron multi-liner for her eyelashes. And there is my Robin reference for color-wise. And I had already planned out the colors off screen. Just used my sketch from my iPad to do that. And those are most of the colors I'll be using. So for her face, I just wanted her to be very, very pale. So I use my eggshell color, and I don't actually cover her entire face. I leave the bridge of her nose and her cheeks white, and I use a colorless blender to blend those out. So, and I just wanted her skin to be kind of grayed out, not super pink and flush like a regular human being's. So I used a warm gray in the shadows. I do go back later and use a light purple to bring a little life into her, but and I've tried now, some different ways of shading. I used to color the entire face, like the skin color I wanted, and then going with the darks, but I've decided I want to start with the darks and build up to the lights. Just try new things. I think it worked out very well, especially with this new paper I have. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I will link it in the description. So I did it off camera, but before I started coloring, I very lightly ran my kneaded eraser over the whole thing because this colored pencil, I didn't want it to smudge too much. I know the marker will smudge a tiny bit, but I really like that look. Kind of makes everything a cohesive look to have that like dark burgundy running through the piece. So this was one of my favorite parts of the entire dress, was the sleeves, and I loved the way I colored them. I wanted there to be some ombre effect because like with feathers in the birds, the colors between their feathers really transition nice. So I started with, I think, my W7 or 5, and W7, yep, there it is. And I then started at the base of the feathers, but then the tips of the feathers were colored in my W3, and I just had loved the look and the dimension it gave the layered feathers of her sleeves. I'm coloring like that with those little splotchy shapes to kind of resemble feathers again, because, you know, even though the color is fairly smooth, you can see where feathers are on the real, you know, on the bird. So I did that to give the same effect. Now for the skirt was kind of hard to tackle. I really wanted it to kind of start white in the front and be darker kind of down and around the back to resemble the underside of the robin, where it's kind of white down by their legs, and then but their back of their tail is obviously that darker gray. So you can see me here trying to blend them out to have the back of the skirt, the back and the bottom of the skirt dark, but the front light. So now I'm moving in to color the pants, and I really wanted to break up all the grays. So I went with a white for her pants. I mean, obviously I'm shading in purple right now, and I go into with a little neutral gray to darken some shadows. But I just really thought those little pants needed to be white. And the reason I didn't put like a normal skirt on her and then just the boots was because I was like, she's got wings. If she's flying, she needs something underneath those, because otherwise, if she's flying above people, one look up and they see in all of her business. And I just didn't think that'd be very comfortable or practical. So so she had to be wearing pants. And now I'm coloring the ribbons that really pretty red-orange color to bring that red-orange throughout the piece. You know, I just thought like it was really only central to the front of her dress. And I was like, no, it just was too much. So I wanted to bring it down to the boots area. So for a nice pop of color. So here's some more real-time footage of me coloring the boots. So I go in with my darkest gray, and I leave some white spots I color them in eventually, but I leave some white spots to make it seem like the boots are, like a leathery kind of material. And there I am using the red-orange color for the bottom of her boots as well, and using the orange for a feather earring I gave her. I kind of thought that maybe, having the wings in part robin, she would use feathers to decorate things. So she's wearing an orange feather earring because I wanted orange up by her face, even though she doesn't have any orange feathers in her wings. But who knows, maybe she traded it with a real robin. Maybe the robin friend in her hand is where she got the orange feather from. Who knows? So here I am coloring her wings. I only show a little real-time footage of me coloring the wings. I wanted the ombre effect with the feathers from her sleeve on her wings, so you could kind of see each individual feather without, obviously I didn't color them one at a time, but then you still get that feeling of the different layers of feathers, one over top of another. And I start with my darkest grays, and I work to my lightest grays, so the ends of the feathers at the bottom, the really long ones, are much lighter than the ones at the top. And when I'm blending colors, I do use that flicking motion I think it's called feathering, where you kind of flick the nib of the marker out so you have a really, concentrated ink on one end, and then, it's a lighter layer of ink on the other, so it's easier to blend two colors together. I do use that method for most of my coloring. And here I am trying to warm up the feathers, giving them a little, just a little more depth to them by using a little brown instead of all just straight warm grays. So, if you're still watching, I would love to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I really enjoy making them, and I'm hoping to make more. I will be releasing videos on Saturdays most weeks, and I really hope if you liked my content that you will consider subscribing to see more of my Copic marker videos. So I colored the other wing off camera and the rest of that wing off camera. It just took so long. I told you, even the footage that I did get, the video was over an hour long, and I didn't even record the whole thing, so. And here I go back in with a pink colored pencil to give her just a tiny bit of color. It's actually kind of a pinky orange color. It's a little hard to see, but it's called Nectar, and it's a Prismacolor Premier pencil. And I add it to the tips of her fingers and her elbows and her cheeks and her nose. And now here's like a purpley gray color. I go and I put that where some shadows on the face and her arms and stuff, her skin. I love that color for shading. I don't know why. Ever since I got all my Prismacolor color pencils, that's the color I use for shading. And a little bit of a brighter purple now. I just love the soft look using colored pencils over marker gives a piece. And I'm using a little orange to just add some texture to the feathers, just making them just have a few more layers to them. And there's all my colored pencils. And a yellowy orange to add a little more dimension to the red orange what are they called? Ribbons. In time for the finishing touches, I use a white Jelly Roll pen to add highlights to the face and to, you know, some of the areas I just would really like to bring out, like her cheeks and her bottom lip and her chin and her hair. And normally that is not how I highlight, but I kind of, the little lines in the bodice, but I kind of wanted them to reflect, you know, highlight maybe like feathers would, so a little texture in the highlight as well. I love white gel pens. I may or may not overuse them a tiny bit, but I just think they make a piece. I just love the way they make them pop. And I also go through and I outline the part of her that is overlapping with the feathers, because I just was kind of feeling like she was sinking into the feathers a bit with all the same colors next to each other. So I went through and I outlined her in white gel pen so she kind of stood out a little bit. And what I like about white gel pen is if you kind of mess up a little bit, and like obviously those feathers were really light, I just messed up a bit and I could just wipe away the white gel pen and you couldn't even notice. So there you have it, the finished piece. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll tune in for more of my videos and my 100-day projects. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe.